Hey guys, Rob here, pulling a little bit of a Kanye and jumping in the beginning of this podcast. I'm going to let you get to the podcast in a second, but I just wanted to let you know in this episode we have special guest RJ Huebert of the Giant Nuggets podcast. It was really great conversation we had, just kind of looking ahead to the world of film this season. Go ahead and check out his podcast on iTunes or giantnuggets.com, and I hope you guys enjoy the show. Let's pull up a chair and welcome to the table. Welcome to the Crooked Table Podcast. This is Rob. On this episode, we're going to look into some of the upcoming releases coming out this fall and this winter. Some of the ones we're most looking forward to, as well as some of the ones that are most likely to blow up the box office. Today I have RJ Huebert of the Giant Nuggets Podcast. How you doing today, RJ?
I'm excellent. Thanks for having me on today.
So, since you're new to the show, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
First of all, Robert and I met years and years and years ago at grad school in USF. Kind of lost touch, but right now I'm just working in marketing and kind of have a couple side hustles, if you will. My first side hustle is a 5K race. It's a Mother's Day 5K, Father's Day 5K.
Okay, cool.
2 races in Tampa, 2 in Sarasota. And then I also have the Giant Nuggets podcast, which is when I interview local and national people around the country and ask them like what they're doing to be successful in their careers and in life.
Right. And we actually, full disclosure to the listeners, we actually just recorded one of those. So if you're a fan of the Crooked Table Podcast, go over to Giant Nuggets Podcast and check me out over there. So how's that been going for you, the podcast and everything, and like really networking with people? 21
episodes deep, and it's awesome because I chat with people from all different backgrounds. I've interviewed an Ironman athlete. I've interviewed people who make money blogging. I've interviewed concert photographers who have like successful music blogs.
Right.
So I get to pick the brains of people who are doing really cool, really interesting stuff, and hopefully, their stories can inspire other people.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Everybody has a story, and everybody's story has a lesson within it. So that's I think that's a really cool idea, especially, I like how at the end you always ask guests to pull the giant nugget out of their story. It's like, what's the takeaway? Because, I mean, honestly, that's a lot of times people are looking for a simple advice, and so it's the fact that each episode ends with, here's your takeaway, go, take action based on, these words of wisdom.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, Robert, I have this everyone has kind of the grand scheme of what they want to do in life, and I actually want to sort of take these giant nuggets that I get from people in different industries and see if I can maybe write an ebook on that and kind of go that route. That's kind of the grand scheme, but don't ask me when that'll be published because I'm not a writer like you.
When you feel like you have enough material, it'll all coalesce. You'll wake up in the middle of the night one day and just be like, I've got it. Giant Nuggets, the book.
I'll write it, I'll let you proof it, and you'll be like, what the hell is this garbage?
There you go. So today we're going to be, like I said, talking about upcoming fall releases. But before we get into that, we usually have a segment where we sort of talk about some of the things we've been looking at, some of the things we've been watching, film, television, that kind of thing. Mostly film, but a lot of times my brother's been on the show and he's way into television more than movies. And he's like, I was watching Walking Dead. And I'm like, I got nothing. TV.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I've heard it's good. Yeah.
Zombies, I might actually jump kind of in his footsteps, not on Walking Dead, but on the TV route. But let's kick it.
All right. So last thing I've seen was Straight Outta Compton, which is number 1 at the box office again. I think it's the only other film other than Jurassic World to top the box office for multiple weeks this year, which is kind of crazy when you think about it.
It's getting awesome reviews. People are seeing it week over week. Box office numbers are there.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, a film about a controversial hip hop group from the late 80s, early 90s to come out and do, I think it was 56 million opening weekend, to do that kind of number.
Like, who would have thought that insane. Either? Because really, NWA, that was 20-some years ago.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, how are they making these movies now, and who's going to see it? Who remembers NWA?
I guess it's an education for a lot of younger viewers. But, I mean, that's the thing. A hard R movie about such a long ago, but long ago that people now that are watching Miley Cyrus on the VMAs they weren't around. They weren't even born at that time. So,
and talk about a timely movie with all the Ferguson unrest and these racial, issues between white and blacks in America. I mean, it's just bubbling over, and it was just like NWA was saying these messages 20 odd years ago.
Right.
And it's so timely. It's like a perfect storm. Like, those perfect storms don't come around very often.
No, I agree. And that's actually something I delve into in the review. I gave it 4 out of 5 on crookedtable.com. You can read the review there. And the movie does a good job not only focusing on, Dr. Dre and Eazy-E and Ice Cube and, their careers, but also, like, the context that, like, the time that gave birth to that music. And, sort of the fact that the lives they led and the time they were created in sort of has a go hand in hand with the music that they make. And, like, their life reflects their art, and their art reflects in life. It's sort of it's an interesting symbiotic relationship, and the movie totally works as a time capsule, as you were saying, for that era, and it's really kind of startling how strong that still resonates with people.
Now, I haven't seen the movie yet. I listened to some of the music, a while ago. I won't claim to be like some super fan now that the movie's successful. But I got to ask you, Robert, were these guys, were they thugs? Were they harassing people? Were they shooting up liquor stores?
There were some moments where there was that kind of violence from that. I mean, the movie's gotten a lot of criticism for sort of cleaning up the backstory for the main NWA members. I mean, there's been a big controversy lately that
Dre's girl beat down, but they didn't tell that story.
No, that wasn't in there at all.
Which, by the way, happened on multiple occasions.
Yeah, I know. He's got a long history of that. No, they
Beats by Dre
in more ways than one. But I mean, there's a few moments with that, but it definitely paints them in a much more positive light than is probably historically accurate. But I mean, you almost sort of expect that with these movies these days, and the fact that both Ice Cube and Dr. Dre are producers on the movie, it's like, what do you think they're not gonna make themselves look like assholes either. It's like,
As a casual observer in the theater, did you like the movie?
I did a lot. I thought it was good, and I'm of course familiar with NWA, but I mean their heyday I was more into Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers at the time. I mean, I wasn't really like listening to fuck the police or anything like that.
My dad, by the way, I remember specifically, he was like, "Do not play NWA. Do not play that song."
Really?
Because my dad was a cop.
Right. Well, that would do it.
Well, he hates rap music altogether,
but especially that one.
And that messaging, he was like, innocent cops are going to die because of this song. And I don't know if you can make that correlation, but he did. And he was like, do not listen to that music. And so I sought out other music like that, but never really that. Because I want to show him some respect.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, the movie does a good job of kind of telling that story. So if you haven't seen it, obviously people should check it out. And I think you would also especially enjoy it since you were around in that time and interested in that genre and that kind of thing. And it puts a lot more context behind that song.
Well, I mean, I love kind of like that inner city story. Yeah. I love Boys in the Hood. By the way, that was the first R-rated movie I've ever seen, in person. It was at a drive-in. And I remember I was actually taken as a guest of my friends. We were probably 12, 13 at the time, right. With their parents. And they had like a station wagon. So we had the back seat kind of folded down, eating the popcorn in the front
classic.
Seat. And this double feature back in the day, I was 13, so we're talking 95. So yeah, I'm ancient, but first double feature, Boys in the Hood, and then Terminator 2.
Nice, nice, not a bad double feature.
Yeah, and I remember my mom was like calling the parents, "Do not let him watch that first movie. There's so much violence." So I had to watch it.
Of course. So what about you? What have you been watching lately?
I gotta tell you, man, just like your brother, I'm on the Netflix shows. I'm on Wet Hot American Summer, man. Highly recommend it to all you listeners out there. It takes the funny premise of the Wet Hot American movie,
right,
which is the last day of summer camp, and then flips it and gives it the Netflix treatment, 8 episodes on the first day of camp on one actual day. And it's just hilarious. Highly recommend it. Please check it out.
And I haven't seen Wet Hot American Summer, but I've heard.
Stop podcast now. Watch it.
Right?
I have it. Let's go watch it.
Well, I have it in my Netflix queue. But I've heard that the big joke with that is that David Wayne, the director, had all these 30-somethings cast as teenagers, and now it's even more ridiculous because they're like 40-somethings playing like 16 or whatever.
Yeah, they're playing it straight up, and sometimes it gets a little bit annoying in the dialogue. Like they have to stress that they're playing a 16-year-old. So the girls or the guys will say something like, "Yeah, I play volleyball, carefree, because I'm 15," and they're like waving their hair in the air. But it's kind of ridiculous that they have to call it out. But I'm on that show. I'm actually on Californication. I know I'm like 10 years late for that, but I'm on season 4 of that. So
nice.
Can't get enough.
You're gonna be firing up the Netflix as soon as we're done recording?
Probably. I got a fantasy draft. I got a dog I got to take care of. But as a giant Nuggets guy, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So this coming fall, a lot of big movies. I mean,
so much, man. A
lot of stuff happening.
This is like the movie time. If you're a fan of movies, fall and obviously spring.
Right.
Spring and summer.
Yeah, it's funny. I was, after coming out of Straight Outta Compton yesterday, I like I mentioned to you earlier, I was just jumped on Periscope for 5 minutes, and I was basically sort of pushing Straight Outta Compton because, I mean, right now you're in that sweet spot where it's like time to catch up on movies you haven't seen, because late August and September, not as much coming out, and then like October, November, December, it's like every week another huge movie. I mean, with this year really culminating in Star Wars, probably.
I mean, it's all I've been hearing for like the past 2 years.
That's all my wife's been hearing for the past several months. I've been like, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. And she hasn't seen all the movies. So
we're jumping into like the number one right away.
I sort of felt like, let's get Star Wars out of it. Let's get
it out of the way.
Because everybody knows we're going to
mention it. Let me just ask you this, Rob. Is Star Wars The Force Awakens the movie that you are most looking forward to?
Yeah, I think so. Just on a personal level.
Okay.
Whether or not it'll be the best movie, I mean, we'll see. I mean, if anything, the prequels have taught us not to always trust every Star Wars movie as, gospel.
J.J. Abrams is the man.
He is.
His production company, Bad Robot, is awesome. Like, they just do fantastic work. And, they have the script supervisors looking over the notes and making sure it's all there. Right. They're reading the forums. They're going to the convention center and talking to fans. I mean, they're incorporating the best of the notes. The production company is capable. They have amazing actors. It's going to be awesome.
I'm pretty sure it is too. I'm just trying to brace myself. It's also with movies that as anticipated as Star Wars: The Force Awakens. It's also about tempering expectations, because that first time I saw The Dark Knight, I was so excited to see it. I walked out and being like, okay, that was good, but because I had built it up in my head as this amazing thing, which it is, but it's like if you have your expectations so unrealistically high, it could be the best movie ever, and you'll still walk up being like, well, I don't know, I didn't have this, and this. I'm like, well, hello, were you there? Did you see any of it?
You brought up a great point, man, with the expectations. Like, I'm going to go in, I'm not diehard Star Wars. Right. I enjoy the movies for what they are. So I'm going to go in with no expectations. Yeah. And just liking J.J. Abrams. I don't follow all the daily picture reveals.
They're really the other day they had 15 seconds of footage. It was literally 4 shots from the movie.
Yeah.
2 of which we'd already seen. Mm-hmm. But people were in my social media was blowing up with one shot.
We got 2 shots.
John Boyega holding a lightsaber. And I was I was excited about it too, but I mean, it's just insane how big the hype is.
You know what I think it is? It's that national discussion that people can feel a part of because they enjoy the movie. Everyone's talking about it, and everybody can participate in this conversation. Mm-hmm. So I think that's with The Walking Dead. It's that current pop culture. Same with America's Got Talent. Even if you might not watch it, or The Bachelorette, but people can attach themselves to that thing and then really follow along. And then with Twitter, with Periscope, it's even more crazy now.
Yeah. And I mean, which is something that J.J. Abrams has a long history of. I mean, going all the way back to at least Lost. and just the weekly conversation. Have you a fan of Lost?
Love
Watched
Lost.
That? Yeah, see?
The first season of Lost was probably one of the best seasons of television.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And I'm not a hater. Like, everyone hates on the ending and hates that. I mean, I just enjoyed it, as a whole.
It's a character piece. Like, the characters are what make it. The story, like the mysteries, were pretty clearly sort of like, shit, what is this? What's the explanation
Characters,
for this?
man, like John, everybody, Sawyer, John Locke, you just say those names.
Desmond is awesome.
I mean, you just, yeah.
So, I mean,
Saeed.
J.J. Abrams is not none of that is foreign to him, I'm sure. But as far as something like Star Wars, bringing back the original cast for the film,
even though we did say, they have the writers, they have great storytelling. I mean, but to assemble all of it, and I mean, there's a lot of little things, right?
Oh my god, that second trailer ending with Han Solo and Chewbacca.
We're going home.
Everybody's like, oh my god, it's really happening. It's one of those things, and it's funny, like, I don't even think my wife realized how much I was into Star Wars until this new one was coming, because it just fired it back up again. But, I mean, yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
I'm excited to see Adam Driver. I think he's the bad guy in this one.
Yeah, he is.
Great actor. For those who don't know, he's on Girls. That's how I know him, but I know he's been in a lot of, like, indie movies that I haven't seen.
Right.
He has a presence. He seems cool and, like, interesting because he kind of looks weird.
Yeah.
And he acts weird and he talks weird. Which makes it interesting, I think.
Yeah. To see him brandishing a red lightsaber with that cross guard type of deal, and like he has sort of a Vader-esque mask going on and everything. That should be interesting. It's just interesting casting all around. Actually.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Oscar Isaac is in it. I love Oscar Isaac. He's pretty much stellar in everything.
That guy is the freaking man,
right?
Gosh, what was he in recently?
Oh man, Ex Machina. If you've seen
The movie's awesome.
Yeah, right? I know. That's one of my favorite movies of the year.
Jeez, yeah. It was
incredible
brilliant.
film.
Mm-hmm. Only like 4 actors in the whole thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
And they nailed the futuristic aspects. They nailed kind of the technology. And you just knew, like, the foreshadowing with the doors and the whole red or blue. I don't remember what colors they were, but...
then the movie is really interesting with the 3 characters and how it's like shifting, it's basically your alliance shifts between all 3 of them at different points. You're like, okay, I think this person is like, I should be rooting for this. I should be rooting for this one. No, wait. Oh, crap. And then by the end, you're like, I don't know what the hell's going on. This is a mess. But yeah, that's a great film. So Star Wars, obviously. What about for you?
Well, if we're jumping into our number ones that we want to see, mine is Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight. Oh, damn.
Quentin Tarantino. Opens, I think, Christmas Day, and that's a movie that I honestly look forward to.
Yeah.
And I honestly try to avoid a lot of the stories, a lot of the trailers. Quentin doesn't really normally give a lot away.
Right.
Like, some movies show everything.
Right.
And I did watch the trailer for the new one, but...
it doesn't really give away a lot plot-wise.
I just... I guess all 8 people are going to be in one, like... claustrophobic room, and there's gonna be a shootout and explosions. You don't know what's gonna happen, and of course his dialogue is the best in the biz.
He really is.
So I mean, that's my number one.
Yeah, and I love that he's brought back so many like alumni from earlier films of his. I mean, you got Michael Madsen and Tim Roth and Sam Jackson and Kurt Russell, who was in Death Proof, and pretty much
Jennifer Lee.
Yeah, right.
Who?
There's great people in this movie, an amazing cast, and he has Ennio Morricone, who did like the score to The Good, Bad, and Ugly, doing the music for this, and he shot it in that really wide, like Panavision. I don't even know what the exact aspect ratio is.
Film.
But just really wide.
For the people out there who don't know what film is, that was what they shot with before digital cameras.
Yeah, exactly. For the younger listeners.
That's definitely my number one. I gotta ask you this though: did you see the preview for the new M. Night Shyamalan movie?
Yeah,
that looks awesome.
It looks awesome. I did sort of a double take.
I was like, is this Panner or
Shyamalan? Wait, is this Shyamalan Presents, like producing it, or is this like what? It's directed by Shyamalan. Are you serious?
I feel like it's flown under the radar.
It really is.
And I don't remember off the top of my head what it was called. I was trying to do research on it.
The Visit.
The Visit. And that creepy old grandparents. Everybody thinks grandparents are creepy.
Exactly.
Which is a great story. And you haven't seen that in movies, I don't think, the creepy grandparents. Off the top of my head.
No, the only thing I can think of is like that sequence in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey where they're in hell and the like grandma's like chasing after one of them to get a kiss or something. That freaked me the hell out as a kid. But there's not a lot of evil, we don't even know if they're evil. That's the great thing about this movie. Like, I don't know if they're going to be possessed, if they have like schizophrenia, if there's some
dementia,
right?
Like,
or what's
maybe
going
just
on.
Traditional
we don't know what's
old age.
happening. I love
what's
that.
going to happen to us when we get old there.
Yeah.
Forever.
The sequel. But I mean, I feel like it's one of those movies that could be a sleeper hit. And Shyamalan's like really due to redeem himself.
I would say there's probably no expectation for him now.
Yeah,
in his movies, and he still has the name. Like, you hear M. Night Shyamalan, people are probably gonna be interested, and then I saw the preview. My girlfriend saw it, and we're both like, "Damn, this looks good."
Yeah. My wife was like, I'm not seeing that movie. You have to see it with someone else." I'm like, "All right, well, I still want to see it."
I mean, I'm a big horror fan in general.
Right.
Like, I mean, I'm not like, a super
there's some people
enthusiast,
that are really into it.
but like, I enjoy them.
Yeah. It could be a good one. I'm hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hopeful. So what about, we were talking a little bit just before we started about Black Mass. It seems like we're both sort of conflicted and a little leery of it.
Dude, Johnny Depp. What the hell is with that guy?
I don't know. I mean, he's basically, I feel like he's playing variations on Jack Sparrow in every movie now. Like, weird accent, funny, quirky attitude.
Yeah, he has to be like, he has to play the weirdo.
Yeah, basically. And the fact that I think his next movie after this is Alice in Wonderland, the sequel to that. I'm like, oh crap. I mean, he's not learning any lessons from any of this.
Honestly, the trailer didn't inspire me. I wasn't excited after seeing it. And I think, like, peripherally, everyone's like, yeah, crime, mafia movie. Yeah, Johnny Depp. Yeah, Boston.
You know what else? You know what it reminds me of, actually? Is Gangster Squad, which came out, I think, last year, the year before that. It's got Sean Penn, with ridiculous prosthetics on, and Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, and had a really good cast, and came out, and critics ripped it to shreds, and nobody saw it.
It reminds me of when I saw it, I was like The Town, the Ben Affleck movie.
I actually like that movie a lot.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah, that was a great one. But I feel like they're leaning too hard on, remember The Departed? Remember how great that was? Maybe this is like that. And the thing is, too, the character that Johnny Depp is playing, Whitey Bulger, was a big inspiration for the Jack Nicholson character in The Departed. So I don't know how much they're sort of banking on, like, reining in fans of The Departed, but the big thing I took away from it was Johnny Depp looks weird. What a great cast. This could still be a piece of shit, though. That's what I was like, oh man.
True or false, this is actually Johnny Depp's real hair.
I have no idea. It wouldn't surprise me. Who knows? All those wigs he's been putting on, all these movies, all these years, it wouldn't surprise me. But, like, I'm looking at his IMDb right now, and it's like the last time I can see him being in a movie that I could actually say was good. Jeez, we're going Sweeney Todd. I loved Sweeney Todd in 2007 that he did with Tim Burton. That's about it. Like, even Public Enemies was okay, and then Alice in Wonderland, The Tourist, Pirates 4, and it gets worse from there.
So much potential.
I know. He just needs to. I don't know what
he needs to get hooked up with like an awesome ass director.
Needs to. There you go.
Or Tarantino resurrect
bring
him.
Him back.
Oh man,
he's got the Midas touch for that.
Wow, you heard it here first.
I think Travolta's last movie before Pulp Fiction was Look Who's Talking Now, wasn't it? Something like that.
And
then he showed up in Pulp Fiction, and the people were like, "What the hell? Where has he been the last 15 years?"
Yeah.
So Black Mass. What about you?
I tell you one movie that I think looks epic. Everest.
Really?
With Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, good cast in there too.
I think they filmed portions on location. And then I think they were like in probably some French town in the Alps or something. But I think Everest is going to blow some minds. Yeah,
it looks like it could be really interesting and definitely has the spectacle. You haven't really seen a lot of movies set on the top of mountains. Like, what was the last like big one? Alive or like Vertical?
Cliffhanger was awesome. I mean, Sylvester Stallone was great. So like maybe some of the westerns are making their way back. Maybe it's time for that kind of adventure, seeker, explorer. People are gonna die in avalanches. I mean, I think it's gonna be a good guy movie. Just that Friday night, Saturday night, let's just go out and see a really cool movie.
Right.
Like where you don't have to think too much. It's just like you sit back and you like see the sights and you're just like in it.
Mm-hmm. And Jake Gyllenhaal especially. I mean, the cast is pretty comprehensive. Jake Gyllenhaal, Keira Knightley, Robin Wright, Josh Brolin, Sam Worthington, Jason Clarke. Jake Gyllenhaal has really been on fire. Like every movie he's been putting out.
Did you see Southpaw?
I haven't seen Southpaw yet. I've heard the movie is sort of. I've heard mixed things about the movie, but his performance is like fierce from what I
saw Nightcrawler, which was before that,
right?
And that was a pretty good movie.
It's really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
just
he
his
looks
physical transformation
haunted and like just creepy, and he's a great actor. He's probably top 5 to 10 actors right now.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Another, actually, sort of jumping off of that, we're talking about Everest and its, adventure at pretty extraordinary heights. The Walk looks really interesting, and that's the one with Joseph Gordon-Levitt as that Frenchman who did the high wire across the World Trade Center. And that
was with Robert Zemeckis. Which I think is a weird director for this movie.
It is, right? He's
Polar Express, but
he's also Forrest Gump, Castaway, Back to the Future.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue against those movies.
Yeah, it's he seems like he's very much into championing new approaches to doing things. I mean, Polar Express, and he did actually a couple more of those, Beowulf, and then the Christmas Carol, like the full motion capture movie. It seems like he is taking advantage of new filming techniques, and like it looks like The Walk it's really being billed as an IMAX experience because being shot from up high and all that. So it could be really interesting. I'm not sure if the spectacle, if so much emphasis is going to be on the spectacle and not on the story and the characters and the journey to that point. But
I gotta tell you, man, I saw a preview for this movie and I hear Joseph Gordon-Levitt talking in this weird French accent. And he looks a little fruity, and he's talking in this accent, and like I'm just like, oh, I don't know.
I'm looking for the perfect place to put my
life. Oh gosh, man. And of course he gets up there and he injures his foot, and it's windy, and I think that the whole walking thing will be cool.
Yeah,
it's gonna be awesome.
But it's like,
the whole movie
is the personal journey behind that gonna actually be interesting, or is it just gonna be like biding your time, twiddling your thumbs until that like final act set piece, I guess. Yeah.
Does he die?
I don't know. They did a documentary about him a few years ago called Man on Wire, and I've been tempted to sort of look it up, but I feel like if I know that, it's going to ruin the movie for me. So I'm like, I'll find out after I watch the movie.
I don't know. I'm put this out there. I don't know, but I don't think he dies.
I'm assuming not. Otherwise, it's not a story of triumph. It's a story of some crazy guy who fell to his death from the top of the World Trade Center.
Well, talking about, like, high wire acts, kind of segueing into Bond. Right?
Yeah. That could be really interesting. Christoph Waltz is the villain, who everybody says isn't Blofeld, but I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Blofeld.
Well, I don't know that, but that guy's awesome.
Yeah, he is.
Whatever his character is, that guy's the man. Daniel Craig, jacked, and awesome.
Mm-hmm. And Skyfall was a really good film.
Oh, yeah.
And some people have issues with certain elements of the plot and all that, but I mean, that was one of those movies where just as I was sitting in the theater, certain shots of it, I was just like, holy shit, the cinematography in this is incredible. And just the way everything was portrayed, and Javier Bardem as the villain, and all that guy's stuff. That was incredible. Like, yeah. And I feel like, and it's the same director coming back for Spectre.
Oh yeah,
it's Sam Mendes, of American Beauty fame.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I have a lot of faith in that Spectre could be the best Bond of the Daniel Craigs, to date. So
after them, hopefully they bring on Idris.
That's what everybody's been saying that. And my whole thing is that there's all this debate every time any post on the internet is like, Idris Elba is Bond. What do you guys think? And everybody's sort of evenly spread between he'd be awesome and Black James Bond. I don't know. I'm like, but the thing to me is that my argument that I always go to is it's not important that James Bond is a white guy or a black guy. It's important that he's a British guy. That's the only thing that really matters. Mm-hmm. Idris Elba is British. Like, I would understand if they're like, Tyrese as James Bond. I'm like, well, he's an American. That doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Dude, I was just thinking about this the other day. Well, a little bit on topic. Mission Impossible is kind of like the American version.
It really is. The most recent movie, did you see Rogue Nation?
Yeah.
That was basically a Bond movie.
Yeah,
with the villain and the Bond girl and all that.
Yeah, exactly. And they have, the super high-tech gadgetry that, 007 pretty much started. So with M, I wasn't actually that impressed by the newest Mission Impossible 4.
Oh, but the newest, the Rogue Nation?
Yeah, Rogue Nation. Yeah. I actually like the third one better, and like the Abu Dhabi desert.
Right.
It's like Ghost Protocol? Or...
Yeah, actually Ghost Protocol was 4, Rogue Nation was 5.
Yeah, Ghost Protocol was awesome.
It's like hard to keep track nowadays, though, because there's so many of them. My idea is that they do the next Mission Impossible, MI6. That's your James Bond crossover right there. I mean, James Bond works for MI6. There you go. Make it happen. So yeah, Spectre, I have a lot of, I'm really excited about that. Actually, one of the ones I'm most looking forward to actually is Crimson Peak. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but this is like, it's a gothic horror film. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's a haunted house type of deal. I think that's what's going on. I believe Crimson Peak is the name of the estate. And it's got Mia Wasikowska, Jessica Chastain, Charlie Hunnam, Tom Hiddleston. It's from Guillermo del Toro, who's pretty much done one awesome film after another, basically.
Guillermo del Toro is the man. Even
like Pacific Rim, I thought worked perfectly. At like,
I never saw it.
Really, you need to see giant monsters and giant robots.
Yeah, I know. It looked a little hokey.
It is a little hokey, but it embraces its hokiness. Right. That's the thing.
Who is the main actor in that?
Idris Elba.
Wasn't it Russell Crowe?
Well, Idris Elba is one of the main in Pacific Rim, and then Charlie Hunnam, who's actually in this.
Oh, okay.
He's from Sons of Anarchy. And
yeah. Was he supposed to be the Christian Grey?
Yeah, he was.
He backed out.
He backed out. It was probably a good idea.
Yeah.
that movie looks like a mess. Obviously, I have no interest in seeing that.
I started it. It was like, I don't know if it was on Netflix or it was like a Redbox, and my girlfriend and I started it. And we're thinking...
It was your idea, wasn't it?
I was like, let's check it out. Let's see what the hype is. After 10 minutes, we were just bored.
From what I've heard, it's not even sexy.
No.
It
was just boring. I didn't even get to the sexiness. And we're like, all right, this is stupid.
From what I've heard, he basically seduces her because she's virginal and all that, and then makes her like sign contracts and stuff. I'm like, this is freaking weird. It's not even hot. That's just strange.
And she like overacted like this innocent girl who like doesn't know anything. She's all timid.
Down, yeah.
And like while we're talking about kind of girl movies, this is probably a girl movie, but it's gonna be, I think, hilarious for the guys as well. That's Sisters.
Oh,
Tina Fey
I love
Poehler.
Tina Fey.
I mean, I think it's going to be kind of like Step Brothers, where they're just kind of riffing back and forth and all these different scenes, but it's going to be hilarious.
Yeah. Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, it seems like anywhere one of them goes, the other one comes along, and I'm totally fine with that. Like, I was watching Anchorman 2 on Netflix recently, and they have a big cameo where everybody shows up.
The fight scene?
Yeah, the big fight scene, and then both of them showed up randomly, and I was like, of course, there they are together. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tina Fey is brilliant. I love pretty much everything she's done. I'm a big fan of 30 Rock, and I still have to see The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I've heard amazing things about it.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Check it out.
That's what I've heard.
There's this black gay guy on the show who plays like this theater actor, and he's the funniest thing on the show.
Really? Mm. Wow. So yeah, I definitely want to see that. And it's been a while. I guess we had Trainwreck, but other than like Trainwreck is like the only like female-led comedy that's really broken out this year. I'd say. Spy, I guess, did too. I don't know. I haven't seen that one yet. Did you get a chance? So yeah, maybe Sisters will sort of fill that void this fall. So is there anything else coming up in the fall, in the summer, or the winter that you want to hit on?
October 25th, The Martian.
That looks interesting.
It does. It looks kind of like other recent space movies.
It looks a little interstellar-y.
Yeah, and it's like, can they save him? Is he gonna die? He has 25 days on Mars. And it's like,
it's an interesting premise. Like it's a solid premise, but I mean, last time I saw Matt Damon in a sci-fi movie was Elysium, and that was rough. And last time Ridley Scott did a sci-fi movie, that was Prometheus, and that was also pretty rough.
I enjoyed Prometheus when I saw it in the theater, but I don't think it holds up that second time. Because I was watching it, and I was like, oh my god.
Not even, yeah.
But
and the trailer for it was amazing. Like, they really sold it.
What I'm wondering is, like, if that script gets passed around, so I have The Martian, I attach Matt Damon to it, do they just go right to the space director, Ridley Scott?
Right? Like, I don't know. And the funny thing is, I think the next thing he's doing is Prometheus too. So he's just like all up in space these days.
Gosh.
I don't know. I feel like he's at that stage of his career that he's just like, all right, whatever. What did I do before that people liked? I'll do another one of those. That kind of thing. As opposed to someone like George Miller, who came out with Mad Max Fury Road, and he's like 77 or something like that. and blew people away. And he's like, hey, I want to show you whippersnappers how it's done. Coming out at his age and delivering.
That movie looked epic. I didn't get a chance to see it, but
yeah,
it looked pretty sweet.
It's I need to see it.
It reminded me of like that death. What's that like death? Proof or
death race maybe.
Death Race.
Yeah.
With like Jason Statham, like crazy ass vehicles just blowing each other up.
Right. And I need to see Mad Max Fury Road again because when I saw it initially, I saw it like in like first thing in the like first screening in the morning, and there's not a lot of dialogue. It's mostly really cool visuals, but it totally holds up like from a technical standpoint. It's really impressive achievement. But yeah, I feel like Ridley Scott is sort of the anti George Miller right now. I don't really trust his judgment as far as what projects he's taking on. But, you know, The Martian has some positive buzz behind it, so...
Do you think, like, overall, like, we're heading into a pretty strong fall?
I think so. I mean, in addition to the ones we mentioned, we also have Sicario, which is like a crime drama with Emily Blunt and Benicio del Toro. We have Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2, the last one of those, which I just saw Part 1 recently, and it was decent. I mean, I read the books, so I sort of know what to expect, but at this point, you know, obviously being a student of pop culture, I'm like, all right, I gotta like see this through to the end now, I suppose. The Night Before looks really funny with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Seth Rogen. And Anthony Mackie, that looks really.
I didn't watch any previews on that because I kind of want to be surprised.
Yeah.
I enjoy Seth Rogen. I think
I do too.
Sometimes he gets bad press, but I think he's funny.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of range, but who cares?
Exactly.
I mean, his movies are consistently solid. Yeah. Then you have the new Pixar movie, The Good Dinosaur. But before we go, I think we were both talking about The Revenant beforehand, which is one of the last movies of the year. It also comes out around Christmas time. So what was your reaction to that initial trailer with Leonardo DiCaprio hanging out like in the Viking age?
It looks freaking amazing.
It doesn't really.
I saw the preview in the theater, and just there's a lot of like heavy breathing, a lot of like running through the forest, a lot of guns and like primal action, and just it seems really unique and really cool. And Leo is the man. So
some people are saying that this might finally be, you know, I mean they say this every time he puts out a movie. This might finally be his chance for Oscar. I sort of feel like he's at that stage that if he hasn't gotten one yet, he's probably not going to get one. I feel like the Academy is sort of taking him for granted now, and they're just like, yeah, he's awesome, whatever.
He deserves it, and
he has delivered several like Oscar-worthy performances.
I feel like I read something where like he doesn't have much dialogue in this movie.
That could be
so that could be interesting to see how he plays it. But yeah, I'm really excited. What do you think? Are you excited?
I'm cautiously excited because I mean, there's a lot of times when we see a really incredible trailer for something, and then the movie has like that one incredible scene, and then the rest of it's just sort of like plotting or overly long and that kind of thing. But I'm curious about it for two reasons. Obviously, DiCaprio is pretty reliable when it comes to his projects. And then the director behind it is Alejandro Inarritu, who the last movie he did was Birdman, which I loved Birdman.
Birdman was so cool.
Right? I know. I was, obviously, you know, being the age that we are, growing up with Michael Keaton as Batman, seeing him sort of do like an indie movie, like psychological, like take on how, you know, what would happen to an actor 20, 30 years after playing an iconic superhero.
It's almost like The Wrestler a little bit.
It was very much like The Wrestler, yeah. I feel like Birdman, The Wrestler, Black Swan are like some, like... I need to put together a film festival for, like, tortured performers or something. Because there's so many of those movies lately. And, of course, Oscar ate that shit up because it's all about the movie business and it's hard and about actors and about, you know, the industry and that kind of thing.
Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah.
He followed up Black Swan with Noah. I never actually watched that. Did you see it?
I did. It had some interesting things going for it. I didn't love it. I'm a huge fan of Black Swan though.
What's he gonna do next? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Because I've liked all his movies. I mean, I haven't seen Noah, but all his other movies are like really unique.
Requiem for a Dream will mess you up. That's one of those films that I don't know if I can watch it again. It's just it's very
disturbing.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's just the intended effect. So, you know, good job, Aronofsky, I guess. And every time you see any article online, it's like movies you'll never watch again. It's like I always click on it because I'm thinking to myself, Requiem for a Dream is going to be on here, and it always is. I'm like, yeah, good. Okay, this person did the research.
Nice. I mean, like, can't wait for some of these movies.
Big fall and winter coming up. It should be interesting with the award season and everything. See what blows up. But anything else you have to say?
If you guys want to check out my blog, giantnuggets.com. Follow me on Twitter, RJ_HBT. And on Facebook, it's just /Giant Nuggets. Here in Tampa Bay, Robert and I are going to take over the world.
That's right. One podcast episode at a time.
Amen.
Of course, you can follow me at Crooked Table on Twitter and find us on Facebook. Read our movie reviews and other articles on crookedtable.com. Let us know, what you're most looking forward to for the fall. We'd love to hear from you. See you guys next time. Roll credits. All right, we're back with the Encore segment. This is where we share something that we're into that you guys might not know about, whether that's a film, a TV show, website, YouTube channel, music, whatever. So I've been listening to The Weeknd a lot, but I know that that's on the radio every 5 seconds, so I won't be talking about that. Instead, I'm going to talk about a movie called What We Do in the Shadows. This is actually a film out of New Zealand, and it's directed by a couple people involved in Flight of the Conchords, the HBO show from back in the day. And it's basically a mockumentary about a bunch of vampires living together. And of course, there's different generations of vampire. You have the one that's like ancient and like Nosferatu style. And then you have like the young hipster that's only been around for a few decades, whatever, that kind of thing. And it's all about them sort of living life and coexisting. And it's like the real world for vampires. And it's really interesting and very subversive in its humor, especially if you're into, the different variations of vampire films that's been over the years. Like I said, Nosferatu, or one of the characters is styled after Gary Oldman's Dracula from the Coppola movie back in the 90s. It's a really interesting film, and I feel like it sort of went under the radar, but it's gotten stellar reviews, and I saw it a couple weeks ago, and it definitely lived up to the hype. And the movie is available Redbox, streaming on iTunes, anywhere like that.
Okay.
It's pretty accessible now, but when it came out in theaters, it was one of those. It was like a very select, limited release.
Yeah.
So.
I want to give a shout out to The Rock. There's not too many actors that I just really enjoy whatever they're in, and I just think The Rock has a great personality. His movies are fun. The Fast and Furious, he's added that element. For those who haven't seen it, check out Ballers on HBO. He plays this awesome sports financial advisor, almost in the vein of like an Entourage. I just, he's a great actor, I think, and has range, and I enjoy him in the movies he's in. So,
and he's got that perfect balance of being physically intimidating, but also having like impeccable comic timing, which is one of the reasons why I feel like The Rundown is probably one of his best movies, because he's able to sort of be goofy, but then like kick ass at the same time. So that's cool. Yeah, people should definitely check that out.
Yeah.
All right, that's all we got this time.
Thanks for having me on, man.
All right, see you guys next time.
This has been a production of crookedtable.com. All rights reserved.
CROOKED.